Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, Chris Pratt, and Kylie and Kendall Jenner are just a few of the famous people who have once attended services at Hillsong. Known for its hugely popular modern worship songs, the church has released over 50 worship albums since 1992. The global megachurch was known for attracting celebrities in the late 2010s. But though it still boasts 150,000 weekly worshipers, it's also been mired in several scandals since its inception in 1983. Hillsong is a Pentecostal church that was started in the 1980s by Brian and Bobby Houston in the western suburbs of Sydney, Australia, as an offshoot of Brian's father, frankhouston's Sydney-based Pentecostal church. In the early days, Hillsong met in a public school hall with only 150 attendees. But by the year 2000, Hillsong had multiple churches around the globe and still had more growing to do. By February of 2022, Hillsong reported 150,000 attendees globally in over 30 locations. This isn't just church. Megachurches are an industry, and Hillsong is worth hundreds of millions of tax-free dollars. Brian found a winning formula when he tapped former Australian child performer Darlene Zizek to be the church's second worship leader. Zizek penned the 1993 song Shout to the Lord for the church's Hillsong band, and it was such a hit that in that same decade, Hillsong began licensing its music to Christian organizations around the world, creating an exponential source of revenue and exposure. As a megachurch, Hillsong is no stranger to scandal, which has mounted over the last couple of years. In 2008, Bobby Houston faced criticism from the Christian community due to her teachings in a series called Kingdom Women Love and Value Their Sexuality. Her advice, which included encouraging women to get plastic surgery at any cost as they age and do whatever it takes to keep their Christian husbands happy, was met with strong disapproval. She also used an ableist slur when discussing her weight, saying that gaining weight made her feel like a retard. She went on to make derogatory remarks about women who are unable to keep themselves fit, using offensive language to describe them as requiring a hydraulic crane just to turn over in bed. Bobby later apologized and changed the title of her teachings. However, in her 2008 ebook, All Have What She's Having, she reiterated her belief that women need to submit to men and be gorgeously available for Jesus' army. This statement and her previous remarks caused significant controversy and continue to be a source of criticism for Bobby. In the fall of 2018, Anna was a student at Hillsong College when she claims to have been sexually assaulted by Jason Mays, a married Hillsong staff administrator and the son of the head of human resources, John Mays. Anna reported the incident to Margaret Agajanian, the head of pastoral care at Hillsong, in December of that year. She read a statement she had prepared, detailing how Jason had drunkenly groped and kissed her without her consent at a party. Anna later expressed disappointment when she saw that Jason had not faced any public consequences for the incident, and she felt that Hillsong was not supportive of her. Anna felt that there was a double standard at play, where students who engage in behavior deemed wrong, such as drinking or having sex with their partner, are sent home, while staff who assault students are treated differently. This disparity did not line up with Hillsong's stated values, and Anna felt that she was not being supported in seeking justice for what had happened to her. In April 2019, Anna asked her father to advocate for her after feeling that Hillsong College was not taking her allegations of sexual assault seriously. According to Anna, the situation only escalated at this point, and the college informed her that she needed to file a report with local police. Anna and her father felt that Hillsong College had been sitting on the issue, hoping that it would go away. They disputed the date that the college claimed Anna reported the incident, stating that it was several months later than when Anna says she first made her statement. Once Anna's report was lodged in May 2019, Jason was charged with assault with an act of indecency. He pleaded guilty in January 2020 and was sentenced to 2 years probation and mandatory counseling. He was also suspended without pay for a year by Hillsongs. In March of 2022, the Hillsong Global Board made a public statement on Hillsong's website where they accused Brian of 2 moral failures. The Hillsong Board stated Brianhouston was accused of sending inappropriate text messages to a Hillsong staffer in which he told her he wanted to kiss and cuddle her. This led the staffer to resign and ask for her tithe money back from the church. The second incident happened in 2019 when Brian wandered into another woman's hotel room in which he spent 40 minutes in after a Hillsong conference. Hillsong blamed this on Brian's anxiety medication, mixing with alcohol, causing him to become confused, which is how he landed in this woman's hotel room. The Hillsong board went on to state that Pastor Brian had violated the Hillsong pastor's code of conduct. After this was released, Brianhouston officially resigned from the Megachurch. Hillsong said Houston remains on a period of leave. This led to Hillsong losing 9 of its 16 churches in the United States, as many pastors quit or pulled their churches from the Hillsong franchise, or were forced to step down after mishandling church funds or sending lewd photos, and sometimes even worse. While Hillsong have had many controversies, the most despicable one yet was committed by the church's original founder, Frankhouston. Frankhouston was accused of sexually abusing up to 9 boys in Australia and New Zealand. Despite these allegations, no charges were ever brought against him in Australia, and he was not subject to civil proceedings. One of Houston's victims was Brett Sengstock, who suffered abuse from the age of 7 until he was 12. Sengstock is now 56 years old and still deeply traumatized. He finds it difficult to talk about the abuse and can't describe much of what happened to him. The Sengstock family were devout Pentecostal followers who welcomed Houston into their home when he came to Sydney from New Zealand. Houston, a charismatic preacher, would stay with the family, sometimes accompanied by his son Brian. However, during the night, Houston would sneak into Brett's room and sexually assault him repeatedly until he reached puberty at the age of 12. In 1978, Brett informed his mother about the abuse he had suffered from Frankhouston, but she did not take any action due to concerns about the potential impact on the church. 2 decades later, his mother informed the Assemblies of God Church about the allegations, and senior members, including Brianhouston, were made aware of it. Frankhouston then offered Brett 10,000 Australian dollars compensation and asked for his forgiveness. When the check did not arrive, Brett called Brianhouston as per Frank's instruction. This evidence was presented during the Royal Commission into Child Sexual Abuse, where Brett shared his story of being sexually abused by Frankhouston between the ages of 7 and 12. The commission also revealed that Brett's mother had informed the Assemblies of God Church about the allegations in the late 1990s, but no action was taken. This led to questions about the church's handling of the allegations and whether they had covered up the abuse. Brett accused Brianhouston of trying to cover up his father's crimes and paying off victims instead of reporting them to the police. When Brett met with Brian in 1999 to discuss the abuse, Brian allegedly became angry and blamed Brett for tempting his father. Brett then asked Brian if he was also molested by his father, to which Brian reportedly slammed the phone down. 2 weeks later, Brett received a check in the mail with no accompanying note. In August of 2021, Brian was charged by Australian police with 1 count of concealing a serious indictable offense by his father. While he expressed sadness for the victims, Brian denied covering up the abuse and claimed they took away his father's credentials and made sure he never preached again. Despite Brian's denial, many people criticized his handling of the abuse allegations against his father, arguing that he should have reported them to the police instead of trying to pay off the victims. Brian has admitted that his father was a serial pedophile, but he still thinks he did the right thing by not reporting the allegations to police during his father's lifetime. The hearing ended at the end of 2022. Houston is expected to return to court for closing oral arguments in June 2023. If convicted, the court could sentence Houston to a prison term of 2 years or more.